The vastness of space stretched endlessly before the human starship Aegis Vanguard. Stars glittered like scattered diamonds, their light piercing the darkness of the void. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge, her hands lightly resting on the polished console. Her eyes were sharp, scanning the holographic displays that showed the surrounding systems. For months, the Vanguard had patrolled the outer rim of human-controlled space. It was quiet out here. Too quiet. Alara's first officer, Lieutenant Jaron Holt, broke the silence. Captain, we're picking up an anomaly in Sector 9B. It's faint, but it's definitely a signal. Alara's brow furrowed. A signal this far from known space? Can you decode it? Jaron shook his head. It's heavily encrypted, Captain. But I can isolate the source. It seems planetary in origin. Alara leaned closer to the screen. Planetary? Send me the coordinates. The bridge crew exchanged glances. Deep space was dangerous, and unknown signals could be traps. Yet something about the faint transmission felt urgent. Alara's gut told her that this wasn't a trick. It was a plea for help. Coordinates locked, Captain, Jaron said. The holographic map zoomed out, revealing a tiny blue-green world tucked in a quiet star system. It looked peaceful from afar, a small gem floating in darkness. Alara's eyes softened. Plot a course, maximum speed. Let's see who needs our help. As the Vanguard accelerated, the crew gathered around the main console. Communications Officer Lyra Chen monitored the signal. Captain, I've been trying to translate it, but the language... It's not like anything we know. Not human, not any allied species. It's alien, Alara nodded. Keep working on it. If someone is calling for help, we need to understand them. Hours passed as the ship glided through the void. The crew worked tirelessly, decoding fragments of the signal. Slowly, the message began to make sense. Help. Deathworlders. They come. We cannot survive. Alara felt a chill. The Deathworlders. Humanity had heard stories of them. Ruthless, merciless, and deadly. Entire civilizations had vanished before the Deathworlders' fleets. They were the nightmares of the galaxy, feared even by the strongest alliances. Are you sure? Lyra asked, her voice trembling slightly. It says Deathworlders? Alara's face was stern. I am. Prepare for contact. But remember, we don't know their numbers or strength. Stay sharp. Lieutenant Holt clenched his fists. Captain, if the Deathworlders are here, we could be walking into a trap. Alara turned to him, her expression firm but calm. Every trap is a risk we must take. These aliens are asking for help. Humanity doesn't turn its back. Not now, not ever. The crew absorbed her words. There was courage in her voice, a steady confidence that inspired them. The Vanguard moved like a single living entity, systems humming, shields ready, weapons on standby. As they approached the system, the planet came into view. It was beautiful. Oceans shimmered in green and blue. Mountains rose majestically and clouds drifted lazily across its surface. From space it looked untouched, serene. But the signal told a different story. Danger lurked beneath its calm exterior. Lyra's eyes widened. Captain, multiple large ships are moving near the planet. Energy readings off the charts. Weapons ready. They're Deathworlder ships. Alara's jaw tightened. How many? Lyra swallowed. Too many to count. At least a dozen massive cruisers plus smaller attack ships. They're surrounding the planet. The bridge fell silent. Even the hum of the ship seemed faint compared to the weight of this revelation. Alara took a deep breath. Options? Holt spoke first. We can engage, try to draw their attention away from the planet while a team rescues the survivors. Alara nodded. Good, but we need a diversion. They won't expect us to attack. We can use speed and precision. That's our advantage. Prepare fighters for a hit-and-run tactic. Cloak smaller vessels and get them ready to deploy near the planet's surface. The crew moved quickly, every action precise. Alarms rang. Lights flickered as the ship powered defensive shields. Fighters were loaded with weapons, engines glowing. Even the usually calm engineers looked tense, knowing the danger they faced. Alara stood by the viewport, gazing at the approaching threat. The Deathworlder ships were terrifying, enormous, dark, and angular. Their hulls were covered in strange, shimmering armor that seemed to absorb light. Energy pulses flickered across their sides as they patrolled the orbit. A single attack from one of these ships could destroy the Vanguard, but humanity had something the Deathworlders did not. Creativity, ingenuity, and the will to fight. No matter the odds, the Vanguard slipped closer to the planet. Lyra, keep monitoring the signal. I want to know how many aliens are alive and where they are located. Lyra nodded, her fingers flying across her console. Captain, I can get partial coordinates. There's a city, a settlement near the northern coast. It's small. Population may be in the thousands, but heavily damaged. The signal is coming from there. Alara's mind raced. We'll send the rescue team there first. Latier Holt, assemble the ground crew. Prepare for deployment. We can't let them fall into Deathworlder hands. Holt's face hardened. Understood, Captain. They'll be ready. As the Vanguard maneuvered into position, a sharp vibration shook the ship. The Deathworlders had noticed them. Shields at maximum. Weapons online, shouted the weapons officer. Energy beams streaked through space, flashing past the Vanguard. The crew dodged expertly, executing maneuvers that combined human ingenuity and precise teamwork. Fighters darted out, weaving through the beams, hitting small enemy ships with pinpoint accuracy. Alara's voice was calm but commanding. Keep them busy. Draw them away from the planet. Protect the civilians. We do this together or not at all. Below the surface of the planet, small squads prepared for descent. Engineers adjusted their equipment, medics checked supplies, and soldiers loaded weapons. None of them had faced a Deathworlder attack up close, yet there was determination in their eyes. They would fight. They would survive. They would save those who could not fight for themselves. The signal pulsed again, desperate, pleading. Please, help! They come? Alara closed her eyes briefly. We're coming, she whispered. In the darkness of space, the Vanguard stood as a shield for the helpless. Against impossible odds, humanity would not back down. And even the Deathworlders would soon learn that humans did not fight like any other species. They fought with cunning, courage, and a spirit that refused to be broken. The first battle was about to begin, and the crew of the Vanguard knew one truth: this mission was bigger than any of them. It was a statement. Humanity would answer the call for help. Humanity would protect life, and humanity would fight no matter the cost. Above the planet, the stars blinked silently. In the distance, the Deathworlder ships loomed like predators. But the humans of the Vanguard were ready. They had speed, intelligence, and determination on their side. And in the quiet before the storm, a single thought echoed through every mind aboard the ship. We will not fail. The Vanguard's engines hummed with controlled power as it approached the Zyruthi planet. Above the surface, the Deathworlder fleet loomed like a dark storm, their massive ships casting long shadows over the oceans and mountains below. Every crew member on the bridge felt the tension. The stars beyond the viewport seemed smaller, as if the galaxy itself had grown heavy with danger. Captain, Lyra Chen said, her voice tight. The Deathworlders have detected us. They're converging on our position. Alara Voss straightened. Her calm, measured tone belied the racing thoughts in her mind. Maintain course. Keep shields at maximum and weapons ready. Lilty Holt, launch the fighters. We'll need every advantage we can get. Holt nodded. Fighters away in 3, 2, 1. Through the bay doors, sleek, nimble craft shot into space, leaving glowing trails behind them. The small ships darted between the massive Deathworlder cruisers, engines flaring as human ingenuity met alien power. Despite being outnumbered, the human pilots relied on agility, surprise, and teamwork. Captain, Lyra shouted. They're firing. Energy beams coming from the lead cruiser. Bright streaks of deadly light pierced the void, slicing past the Vanguard. The ship rocked as shields absorbed the first impacts, warning klaxons blaring. Engineers ran from station to station, adjusting energy distribution, rerouting power from propulsion to defense. Divert all available power to forward shields. Alara commanded. We cannot let one of their hits penetrate. The Deathworlders' ships were formidable. Their weapons fired in concentrated pulses and their armor absorbed most attacks from the human fighters. But the humans were not deterred. Every fighter, every cruiser moved with precision, striking at weak points the Deathworlders hadn't even realized existed. Holt's voice cut through the chaos. Captain, the planet's surface is still under threat. The Deathworlders are firing bombardments at the cities. Civilians are in danger. Alara's jaw tightened. Then we split their focus. Prepare a diversion. We'll draw some of them away from the planet while the ground team deploys. Lyra analyzed the enemy patterns. I see an opening near the asteroid field in Sector 7. We can use it to flank the lead ships. Do it, Alara said. Take the Vanguard and a squadron of fighters. Hit them where they least expect it. Show them humans are not easy prey. The Vanguard maneuvered into the asteroid field, the smaller fighters darting around massive rocks, using them as cover. Energy beams struck the asteroids, shattering them, sending fragments into space. The Deathworlders pursued cautiously, hesitant to follow into the maze of tumbling rocks. Now hit their engines, Alara commanded. Focus fire on the cruiser's propulsion systems. The human fighters responded with synchronized precision. Torpedoes and laser strikes targeted the engines, causing massive explosions that rocked the enemy fleet. Some Deathworlder ships were forced to retreat, creating gaps that allowed the ground rescue teams to approach the planet safely. Below, the surface teams prepared for descent. Human engineers and soldiers, along with small reconnaissance drones, hovered over the northern settlement where the Zerathi had sent their distress signal. Smoke rose from damaged buildings and the sound of distant explosions echoed through the city. Civilians ran, panicked, unsure where to hide. Lieutenant Holt led the ground team. Stay focused. Protect the civilians. Move fast. The human squads moved with efficiency and care. Engineers repaired communication relays to locate survivors, while soldiers guided families toward the evacuation points. Every second mattered. Above, the space battle raged, a deadly symphony of fire and light. Alara's attention returned to the Vanguard screens. Lyra, how many Deathworlders are still on their way? Lyra's fingers danced across the console. At least 6 cruisers plus smaller support ships. They're regrouping for a concentrated attack. If we don't act fast, the planet will be devastated. Alara nodded. Prepare another strike. This time, focus on their command ship. If we disrupt their leadership, we can slow them down. The fighters sped toward the largest cruiser, weaving through enemy fire. The Vanguard followed closely, unleashing volleys of concentrated energy blasts. The Deathworlder command ship's shields shimmered under the relentless assault, then cracked under the pressure. Explosions rippled across its hull, sending smaller attack craft spinning in space. The Deathworlders retaliated fiercely. A volley of energy beams struck the Vanguard, shaking the ship violently. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and the bridge crew held tight, determined not to panic. Damage report, Alara demanded. Chief Engineer Ryland Keir replied. Minor hull breaches on Deck 7. Shields holding, weapons fully operational. We can continue the attack. Good. Keep us steady, Alara said. Lieutenant Holt, report on the ground team. Holt's voice came through comms, steady but urgent. Civilians are in motion, Captain. Evacuation is going smoothly. We've picked up a few pockets of resistance. Deathworlder scouts left behind. We're handling them. Alara allowed herself a small nod. Humanity's ground forces were showing the same ingenuity and courage as the space crew. It was the combination that made them so formidable. Intelligence, determination, and unity. The Vanguard fired another volley, this time hitting the cruiser's energy cores. Sparks and fire erupted across the ship, and it broke formation, giving the humans a temporary advantage. The Deathworlders were surprised. No other species had fought them like this. They expected fear, surrender, or at least hesitation, but humans fought with something deeper, a refusal to yield. Above the planet, smaller human ships weaved between the larger cruisers, striking with precision. Every hit counted. The Deathworlders began to falter, their calculated assault disrupted by the unexpected strategy of their human opponents. Alara studied the battle, calculating her next move. Lyra, relay this to the fighters. Draw them further from the planet. Use the asteroid field to scatter them. Keep the civilians safe at all costs. The human fighters executed her orders flawlessly, drawing several Deathworlder ships away from the settlement. Above the chaos, the stars seemed alive with movement, beams of energy flashing, explosions blooming like violent fireworks. Below, the evacuation continued. The Zerathi looked on in awe as humans moved with courage and precision. They had never seen a species fight with such cleverness, such fearlessness, and such care for others. The humans were not just rescuers. They were protectors, warriors who refused to let innocence perish. Holt's team reached the final evacuation point. Families crowded onto the transport shuttles, holding hands, whispering prayers of gratitude. Move quickly. Stay calm, Holt commanded. Every second counted as the Deathworlder attack ships above were regrouping, searching for stragglers. Alara's voice cut through the comms. Holt, you're almost done. Keep them moving. We have your cover. Trust the Vanguard. A final explosion rocked the city. A Deathworlder strike missed the evacuation point by mere meters. Smoke and debris filled the air, but humans pushed forward. They did not falter. They could not falter. In space, the Vanguard and the fighters had successfully diverted the majority of the Deathworlder fleet. The command cruiser was damaged and the smaller ships were scattered. The Deathworlders began to retreat from the asteroid field, unwilling to risk further damage. Alara allowed herself a moment to breathe. "Status?" she asked. Lyra responded, "The majority of civilians are safe. Ground team reports all critical evacuations complete. The Deathworlders are retreating from the immediate area." A collective sigh of relief filled the bridge. It was not a victory. It was a moment of survival, a chance to protect life. But it was proof of one truth: humans fought differently. They were clever, courageous, and relentless. They did not yield and they did not surrender. Holt's voice came through comms, tired but proud. "Evacuation successful. Civilians are on transport ships headed to a safe zone. No lives lost, Captain." Alara allowed herself a small, rare smile. "Well done, everyone. Today humanity showed what it can do. Remember this moment. Remember why we fight. Protecting life is our greatest strength." As the Vanguard and its fighters regrouped in orbit, the stars outside the viewport seemed to shine a little brighter. The humans had not only survived, they had made a statement. The Deathworlders had been tested, and they had found humans were not to be underestimated. And somewhere deep in the northern settlement, hidden among the ruins, the Zirathi survivors watched the stars, knowing that help had come. Not just any help, but the help of a species that would fight against impossible odds, that would protect those in need, and that would not stop until justice was done. Above the planet, the battle-scarred but unbroken human fleet prepared for whatever came next. The first clash was over, but the war and the story of human courage was just beginning. The northern settlement lay in ruins, smoke curling into the sky from shattered buildings and scorched streets. The Zirathi survivors moved cautiously through the debris, their expressions a mixture of fear, relief, and awe. Humans had protected them, fought for them, and now, in the quiet aftermath, they offered a hand to help rebuild. Lieutenant Holt guided the last group of civilians toward transport shuttles. "Keep moving," he urged. "You are safe now. Follow the humans and you'll reach the evacuation zone." A small Zirathi child clutched her mother's hand and stared at Holt with wide, curious eyes. She had never seen humans before, yet something about their calm confidence reassured her. "Captain," Lyra's voice came over the comms, "the ground team reports that the majority of survivors are safe. Casualties are minimal, but the city is heavily damaged. The Zirathi have a small defensive facility in the mountains. We can relocate them there temporarily." Alara nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "Good. Lieutenant Holt, guide the civilians to the mountains. Set up defenses and communication links. We need to stay in touch with them at all times." Holt saluted. "Understood, Captain." While the evacuation proceeded, Alara returned to the bridge of the Aegis Vanguard. The space around the planet was quiet for the moment, but that calm was deceptive. The Deathworlders were retreating, but only to regroup. Their fleet was vast, and their wrath had been ignited by the humans' defiance. "Captain," Lyra said, her fingers flying across the console, "the Zirathi technology is impressive. Even their communication and shielding systems are more advanced than anything we have in our outer colonies." Alara leaned closer, curiosity mingled with tactical interest. "Show me their schematics. If we can integrate some of their technology into our fleet, it could give us an edge against the Deathworlders." The Zirathi scientists, cautious but eager, began to share information. Their devices pulsed with unfamiliar energy signatures, strange yet elegant in design. The humans were quick to learn, combining human engineering with alien ingenuity. Within hours, basic interface systems were adapted, allowing for coordinated control between human ships and Zirathi defensive networks. In the mountains, the temporary settlement was organized with careful precision. Medical teams treated minor injuries, engineers repaired shelters, and soldiers constructed simple fortifications. Civilians huddled together, grateful for the protection the humans provided. They had witnessed courage they had never imagined. Small human fighters darting through space, defending the defenseless with daring and intelligence. Holt spoke with a group of Zirathi elders. "Your people are safe now. The humans are here to help you rebuild, but you must also prepare. The Deathworlders will not forget this day. One elder stepped forward, his skin shimmering faintly in the dim light. Your species fights with a spirit we have not seen. You risk yourselves for others. We are grateful, humans. Holt bowed slightly. We do not fight for glory. We fight because it is right. Because no life should be taken without cause. And because we will not allow tyrants to dominate the innocent. The elder's eyes softened. Then we shall share our knowledge with you. Together, perhaps we can withstand the coming storm. Back in orbit, Alara studied the Deathworlder fleet's movements. Sensors indicated that the enemy was repairing and regrouping beyond the system. They will return, she said quietly. And they will come with everything they have. We need a plan. Rylan Keir, the chief engineer, leaned over her shoulder. Captain, if we integrate Zirathi shielding with our ships, we can improve defense by nearly 40%. And their energy disruption technology could temporarily disable enemy weapons for short bursts. It's not enough to destroy their fleet outright, but it could level the playing field. Alara nodded thoughtfully. Good, prepare the prototypes. We'll need them ready before the Deathworlders return. Lyra, coordinate with the Zirathi scientists. Get me simulations of combined human-Zirathi strategies. As humans and Zirathi worked together, a bond began to form. Despite differences in language, culture, and biology, there was a shared understanding. Survival required cooperation, courage, and trust. The Zirathi learned from the humans' tactical brilliance, while the humans absorbed the aliens' advanced technology. Hours passed, and the stars outside the viewport darkened as the system's twin suns dipped below the horizon. The calm of night was deceptive. The humans knew it was only a matter of time before the Deathworlders returned. Holt returned to the Vanguard via secure channel. Captain, civilians are secure. Defenses are in place. Medical teams report no critical injuries. Zirathi morale is high. They are willing to cooperate fully with us. Alara allowed herself a small nod of approval. Good work. Keep them safe and continue fortifying their position. We will make our stand here if we must. As the humans worked with the Zirathi, engineers discovered new ways to optimize the alien technology. Shield generators were modified to integrate with human cruisers. Energy pulses were tuned to human weapon systems, and communication networks were streamlined to allow faster coordination. The possibilities were exciting and critical. Alara walked along the bridge, watching her crew. Every face reflected determination and resilience. Humans had faced impossible odds before and survived. Here they were proving themselves again, not only as warriors but as protectors, innovators, and leaders. Lyra's voice interrupted her thoughts. Captain, I'm detecting something unusual. The Deathworlders are sending a reconnaissance group. Small, fast ships. They're probing our positions, testing defenses. Alara straightened. Show me their approach vectors. Holt appeared beside her. They're coming in tight formations, likely scouting for weaknesses. We need to respond carefully. Any mistake could alert the main fleet. Alara considered for a moment. We won't attack immediately. Let them reveal their intentions. But prepare the fighters and defense drones. We must be ready for anything. The small Deathworlder ships approached cautiously, their dark hulls glinting in starlight. The humans did not fire, but their presence was unmistakable. The message was clear. The humans would fight, and they were not afraid. The Zirathi scientists observed the encounter from the mountains, fascinated by the humans' restraint and tactical discipline. They do not strike without reason, one elder remarked. They understand the balance of strength and wisdom. Perhaps this is why your species survives where others fall. Holt glanced at the elder. It is not about strength alone. It is about courage, cleverness, and standing together. That is humanity's way. Above, the Vanguard adjusted its formation to shield the Zirathi settlement. Fighters weaved between the approaching Deathworlder scouts, ready to intercept. Energy readings from the enemy indicated curiosity rather than aggression. Yet even curiosity from a Deathworlder fleet was dangerous. Alara addressed her crew. Remember what we fight for. These aliens are defenseless without us. Every move we make counts. Protect them. Protect each other. And never forget we are humans. We fight with intelligence, with courage, and with heart. The scouts changed course, perhaps intimidated by the humans' careful readiness. The threat remained, but for now, the immediate danger was held at bay. In the settlement below, Holt gathered the Zirathi leaders. Your people have strength, he said. But alone you could not withstand the Deathworlders. Together with humans, we can create a strategy that increases all our chances of survival. Technology alone cannot win. Strategy, cooperation, and courage are what will see us through." The elders nodded. They could sense the humans' resolve, their unwavering determination, and their commitment to protecting the innocent. It was not just firepower. It was a spirit that inspired trust and hope. Hours turned into days as the humans and Xyrathi strengthened defenses, repaired structures, and prepared for the inevitable return of the Deathworlder fleet. The bond between the two species grew, forged in the fires of shared struggle. Humanity's reputation among the stars had always been one of courage and ingenuity. But here it became personal, a living testament to the willingness to risk everything to protect life. Alara stood once more on the bridge of the Vanguard, gazing at the stars. "They will return," she said softly. "But when they do, they will find that humans are not so easily broken, and they will learn that courage, intelligence, and unity are forces that no enemy can destroy." The stars outside the viewport shimmered, silent witnesses to the alliance being forged below. And in the quiet determination of humans and Xyrathi alike, the first true hope for resistance against the Deathworlders began to take root. The silence of space was broken by the hum of engines and the occasional flicker of weapon systems as the Aegis Vanguard and allied ships prepared for battle. The Xyrathi scientists and human engineers had worked tirelessly, integrating alien energy disruption technology into human ships, enhancing shields, and coordinating communication networks. Every vessel was now more than a ship. It was a symbol of unity and ingenuity. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the tactical display. The Deathworlder fleet had returned. Their formation was massive. Dozens of cruisers, support ships, and attack craft moved with lethal precision. Their intent was clear: total annihilation. "Captain," Lyra Chen said, her voice calm but focused, "they've divided into 3 attack groups. The central fleet is heading straight for the planet. 2 flanking groups are moving to cut off reinforcements from the outer systems." Alara's jaw tightened. "Good. Then we hit them where it hurts. Late to Holt, prepare the fighters and escort ships. We strike the flanks first, then the central fleet. Timing and coordination are everything." Holt saluted. "Understood, Captain. All squadrons are ready." The Allied fleet surged forward, cloaked energy pulses flickering along the Xyrathi-enhanced shields. The humans had learned from the first clash. They did not rely on raw power. They relied on cunning, speed, and precision. The first wave of fighters darted toward the left flank of the Deathworlder fleet. Smaller, faster than the enemy vessels, they weaved through heavy fire, launching torpedoes at exposed engines. Explosions rippled across the enemy hulls as the torpedoes struck. Several cruisers were disabled, forced to drift as their weapon systems rebooted. "Excellent," Alara murmured. "Keep pressure on them. Don't let them regroup." Meanwhile, the Vanguard moved toward the central fleet using asteroid fields as cover. The human Xyrathi shields absorbed energy blasts that would have destroyed ordinary ships. Cloaked drones and fighter squadrons darted around the cruisers, sabotaging systems and creating confusion. Lyra's voice was tense. "Captain, their command ship is moving toward us. It's aware of our attacks. They're preparing a concentrated strike." Ilara's expression remained calm. "Then we give them a lesson they will not forget. Activate the energy disruptors on all cruisers. Hit their weapon systems simultaneously." Across the battlefield, bursts of alien technology surged. Energy pulses radiated outward, striking the Deathworlder ships and temporarily disabling their weapons. For a brief moment, the humans held an advantage. Their small squadrons darted in and out of the gaps, striking at weak points with precise fire. Holt's voice came through comms. "Captain, ground support reports that the Xyrathi settlement is secure. Civilians are safe. They are watching our battle with awe. This fight is as much for them as it is for us." Ilara allowed herself a moment of pride. "Then we show them the true spirit of humanity. Hold nothing back. Every ship, every fighter, every strategy matters." The Deathworlders, unaccustomed to such tactics, struggled to respond. Their fleet was powerful, but it was designed for intimidation and brute force, not clever, coordinated attacks. Human ingenuity disrupted their formations. Fighters used debris fields and asteroid belts to approach unseen, launching torpedoes and laser strikes that disabled engines and shields. The Vanguard took the lead, flanked by Xyrathi-enhanced cruisers. Energy beams struck the enemy command ship, cracking its armor. Smaller support vessels were caught in crossfire, and the flanks of the Deathworlder fleet began to crumble. Alara gave the order. Target the central engines on the command ship. Concentrated fire, now. The coordinated strikes hit simultaneously, creating a chain reaction of explosions. The command ship shuddered, sending shockwaves through the fleet. Several Deathworlder vessels were disabled, drifting helplessly in space. The tide was turning. On the ground, Zirathi children and adults watched as the stars lit up with the battle above. Sparks of light from explosions reflected in their wide eyes. They had never imagined a species could fight with such intelligence and courage, such heart and determination. Humans were not just protectors, they were symbols of hope. Holt directed the ground operations. Keep the settlement secure. Monitor for any enemy landing attempts. They may try a last-minute strike. Small, agile Deathworlder attack craft attempted to descend toward the planet, but human fighters intercepted them swiftly. Torpedoes streaked through the atmosphere, striking ships mid-flight. The ground team's energy shields blocked stray fire and civilians remained unharmed. "Captain," Lyra said, "the Deathworlders are retreating from the flanks. They're concentrating on regrouping their central fleet. But they've taken heavy losses. Our strategy is working." Alara's eyes gleamed. "Good, then it's time for Phase 2. Prepare the decoy attack. We'll draw them further from the planet and finish what we started." Fighters and cloaked drones accelerated toward the enemy, presenting a tempting target. The Deathworlders, eager to retaliate, pursued aggressively, leaving their central fleet exposed. The humans executed a perfect pincer maneuver, striking from multiple directions simultaneously. Explosions illuminated space as torpedoes hit. Energy disruptors pulsed and concentrated beams tore through enemy hulls. The Deathworlder fleet, once feared and unstoppable, faltered under the combined strategy and bravery of the humans and Zirathi. Holt's voice was urgent. "Captain, one cruiser is attempting to escape toward deep space. If it succeeds, it could regroup and return with reinforcements." Alara smiled faintly. "Then we do not allow it. All units pursue and disable. No vessel escapes, the fleet moved as one." Fighters pursued the fleeing cruiser, dodging energy blasts and asteroid debris. Torpedoes struck precisely, crippling its engines. The Deathworlders were learning that humans did not fight like any other species. Brute force was ineffective. Strategy, intelligence, and determination were the true weapons. Above the battlefield, the Vanguard and its allies regrouped. The Deathworlder fleet was broken, scattered, and retreating. Their command ship, heavily damaged, limped away, and their morale had taken a severe hit. Alara addressed her crew. "Today we have shown the universe what humans can do. Courage, intelligence, and unity have turned the tide. But this is only the beginning. Remember, we fight for life, for justice, and for those who cannot defend themselves." Holt and Lyra exchanged proud smiles. The Human Zirathi alliance had proven its worth. Every ship, every fighter, and every crew member had played a vital role. This was more than a battle. It was a testament to the unbreakable spirit of humanity. Below, the Zirathi settlement began to recover. Survivors moved among partially repaired buildings, watching the stars with renewed hope. They had been saved not only by weapons or technology, but by the courage and ingenuity of humans who refused to back down. One Zirathi elder approached Holt. "Your species fights not only with power, but with heart. You are worthy allies. Perhaps together we can face any threat that comes." Holt nodded. "We fight for what is right. And when we fight together, nothing can stop us." Back on the Vanguard, Alara gazed at the stars, reflecting on the battle. Humanity had faced impossible odds and prevailed, not through sheer strength, but through careful planning, clever tactics, and unwavering courage. The Deathworlders had been tested and found human ingenuity was a force even they could not easily crush. "Captain," Lyra said softly, "all major Deathworlder forces are retreating. The planet and civilians are safe for now." Alara allowed herself a small smile. "Then we have done well, but we cannot rest. They will return and we must be ready. Humanity does not back down. We learn, we adapt, and we endure. That is what makes us strong." The stars beyond the viewport seemed to shine brighter, a silent acknowledgement of the victory. The humans had not only defended a distant alien world, they had demonstrated that courage, intelligence, and cooperation could overcome even the most terrifying adversaries. And somewhere deep in the northern settlement, the Zirathi looked to the sky, knowing that humanity's spirit had given them a chance to survive rebuild and thrive. The counterstrike had been successful, but it had also created something stronger than technology or weapons, a bond forged in courage and hope, one that would endure long after the battle was over. The void of space was quiet now, but the calm was earned through courage, strategy, and relentless determination. The Deathworlder fleet, once a shadow over the galaxy, had been beaten back. The survivors of the Xyrathi settlement were safe, and the human-Xyrathi alliance had proven stronger than any single force. Captain Lyra Voss stood on the bridge of the Aegis Vanguard, watching the stars. Each point of light reminded her of countless lives depending on their actions. Humanity had faced overwhelming odds and prevailed, not by power alone but by intelligence, unity, and heart. "Captain," Lyra Chen said, her voice carrying relief, "sensors indicate that the remaining Deathworlder forces are retreating. They've left the system entirely." Lyra allowed herself a moment to breathe. "Good, but we remain on alert. They may return with greater force. Prepare reconnaissance missions. We need to track them." Lieutenant Holt approached, weary but proud. "The Xyrathi are rebuilding. They've started repairing their settlement and fortifying defenses. They're eager to learn more from us." Lyra smiled faintly. "Then we give them what we can: technology, strategy, guidance, and hope." Below in the mountains, the Xyrathi worked alongside human engineers. Their advanced technology merged with human creativity, creating new defenses and infrastructure. Energy shields pulsed gently around the settlement, protecting civilians and vital installations. It was a small world, but for the survivors it represented a new beginning. An elder approached Holt. "Your species has changed our fate. We were helpless, yet you risked everything to save us. Our people will not forget this." Holt nodded respectfully. "We do not fight for thanks. We fight because it is right, and because no life should be destroyed by fear or tyranny." The elder's eyes softened. "Then together we shall be stronger. Your courage inspires us. Our knowledge strengthens you. A bond forged in battle will endure far beyond this day." Meanwhile, the Vanguard orbited above, monitoring the system. Sensors detected small Deathworlder scout ships in distant sectors, but nothing that posed an immediate threat. The fleet had learned a harsh lesson. Humans were not easy prey. They would fight with intelligence, strategy, and an unyielding spirit. Lyra turned to her crew. "Today we have shown the galaxy what humans are capable of. Not just strength, not just firepower, but courage, ingenuity, and unity. We have defended the helpless and struck fear into the hearts of a fleet that thought itself unstoppable." Rylan Keir, the chief engineer, added, "Captain, the integration of Xyrathi technology has worked better than expected. Our ships are stronger, faster, and more resilient. We can face even greater threats now." Lyra nodded. "Good, but remember, technology alone cannot win battles. It is the mind, the will, and the heart behind it that makes the difference." In the settlement, civilians and soldiers alike began to rebuild their homes. Children played in streets that had been scarred by destruction. Families huddled together, sharing meals and stories of survival. The Xyrathi were learning from the humans not only how to defend themselves but also how to rebuild, adapt, and thrive after devastation. Lieutenant Holt walked among them, offering guidance and support. "Keep moving forward," he said. "Your strength comes from your will to survive, your ability to work together, and your courage to face the future." A young Xyrathi engineer approached him. "Your people, you fight not only for yourselves but for others. That is a lesson we will carry forever." Holt smiled. "We fight for life. That is what makes us human." Above, the Vanguard received reports from other human fleets monitoring the outer rim. The news was encouraging. Humans were gaining allies among other species, many inspired by the courage displayed in the Xyrathi system. Humanity's reputation was growing, not through conquest but through protection, ingenuity, and moral courage. Lyra spoke with Lyra. "This battle may be over, but our mission continues. We must ensure that the Deathworlders do not return unchecked. Intelligence gathering, alliances, and preparedness are our next steps." Lyra nodded. "Understood, Captain. We'll continue to coordinate with allied species and monitor potential threats." As night fell over the Xyrathi settlement, humans and aliens alike looked to the stars. The stars no longer seemed distant and cold. They felt alive, full of possibility. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and often hostile, but humanity had proven that it could make a difference. Courage, intelligence, and unity were more powerful than fear. In a quiet moment, Ilara reflected on the events. The Vanguard had faced one of the deadliest fleets in the galaxy and had survived. They had saved an entire civilization. They had formed an alliance that could endure for generations. And they had done so not by conquering, but by protecting, teaching, and leading. Holt joined her on the bridge. "Captain, the Zerathi are sending a message of gratitude and cooperation. They wish to form a permanent alliance with humanity. Their technology, knowledge, and loyalty will be invaluable in the years ahead." Ilara allowed herself a small smile. "Then we accept. Together we will face whatever the galaxy sends our way, and we will continue to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves." The stars twinkled beyond the viewport as if in agreement. Humanity had made its mark once again. Not through domination, but through courage, intelligence, and an unyielding spirit. The Deathworlders may return, but they would find that humans were not to be underestimated. Every plan, every battle, every act of bravery had proven one undeniable truth. Humans were resilient, clever and strong in ways no enemy could ignore. On the planet below, children laughed as they played near the rebuilt shelters. Adults worked together, sharing skills and knowledge, learning from their human allies. Hope had returned to a world that had known fear and destruction. The Zerathi would survive, thrive, and remember the humans who had risked everything for them. Ilara looked at her crew one final time. "You have done humanity proud. Today we have defended life, built trust, and shown that courage can overcome even the darkest threats. Never forget this moment. Carry it with you wherever you go." Holt placed a hand on her shoulder. "Captain, humanity has not only survived, we have inspired, and that is our greatest victory." The Vanguard prepared to leave orbit, continuing its patrol of the outer rim. Beyond this system, countless stars awaited, full of new challenges, new allies, and new threats. Humanity's story in the galaxy was only beginning, but one truth had been made clear to all who had witnessed the battle. Humans fight not only to survive, they fight to protect, to inspire, and to make the galaxy a place where courage, intelligence, and heart triumph over fear and tyranny. The stars stretched endlessly before them, each one a beacon of possibility. The humans of the Vanguard, and the Zerathi who had become their allies, would continue forward, prepared to face any challenge, ready to defend the innocent and unwilling to surrender. And in that quiet determination, the galaxy began to take notice. Humanity had not only survived, they had made a difference, and the light of that difference would shine across the stars for generations to come.